Hey, you ever curious about an old railroad interlocking tower, what it looks like today? Well, we're at a good old-fashioned one here. So we're going to take a explore inside and see what we got. Let's go inside. We are at the Handy Interlocking Tower, just between Handy and Ambia, Indiana, almost to the Illinois line. As you can see, this place is surrounded by trees and growth, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get my drone in here. But let's go walk inside and see what still remains of this place. Well, you can see it's definitely okay. We got a little bit of little box or electrical box here. That's kind of cool. Wow, as you can see, it's still standing, but it's definitely seen better days. Now, I don't claim to be no railroad expert by no means, but I do love stuff about railroads, so I'm going to do the best I can to be as accurate as I can with this place. All right, but then again, I just don't know what. Okay, so I'm going to try to be accurate, but this is at the rural crossing of Handy, Indiana, about 3 miles east of Ambia. Now, this was built to oversee the crossing of two vital Midwestern railways at that time. Those railways were the North-South New York Central, which is NYC, Danville Secondary, Egyptian Line, as well as the East-West Nickel Plate Road Line, running from Frankfort, Indiana to Peoria, Illinois. Now, the exact date that this tower was built is unknown, but most likely around 1900, because I believe this came in service around December of 1905. And then they had operators that were stationed here in this tower to manually align switches and throwing physical levers and things like that to signal trains safely through the intersection, or they call the diamond. And then sometime in the 1950s, unfortunately, like a lot of places, the operations here were eventually phased out and replaced by obviously machines, centralized traffic control, and the modern signaling systems. So they were no longer needed, unfortunately. And the New York Central line here was abandoned by Conrail in the 1980s. Now, the formal nickel plate road line, which is east and west, and we'll go take a look at the tracks here in just a second, are actively owned and operated by the Kankakee, Beaverville, and Southern Railroad. That's kind of a mouthful. And the tracks that they operate this track now, but the train that runs on that is the B Line Railroad, which is actually privately owned by Stewart Grains, which is not too far from here, probably about 19 miles south. They actually own that train, and it hauls grain and things, products like that, to the Stewart Grain elevator. So that's a little bit of history. So let's just kind of take a gander through here. Like I said, we've probably seen it all now through my my history lesson there, but the space you're looking at right here, this little line right here, this is where the levers used to be that they would switch to cause the trains to move. Now, there was a second floor, but there's no way of getting up there. As you can see, there is no roof as well. I believe there was a fire here in around 2009 that just kind of took its toll, but so unfortunately we're not going to be able to get up there. So you can see it's kind of boarded up, but we'll just kind of look around here, look at the floor there, and got an old switch box right up here. Look at that. Old switches in there, and got rusted out. You can't even see a name on it. Some more switches and pipes up there. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot left. And you kind of pan down here, you kind of look at the floor, and it's pretty much just taken over by nature. Like I said, unfortunately, the roof is gone, and you can see outside now in a lot of the windows there. But yeah, there's some pipe hanging there. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Now there's the front door we came in. This is the back door here. Like I said, I don't know. You probably will still won't be able to see much out here as well. Because like I said, it is definitely overgrown by trees. But we'll take a step out here and look what we can from this side. It's just so overgrown right now. Turn you around here. Yeah, see, it's just so overgrown. You can't even hardly see this thing at all. I mean, you wouldn't even know this thing was here if you were driving down the road. It's probably only maybe 50 yards off the road, if that. It's real close. But like I said, yeah, that's what we're dealing with there. That's pretty thick. As you can see, I'm painting over here. That's just all thick woods there. So you're really not gonna get a very good look, unfortunately. Maybe I should have come out here in the wintertime when the trees weren't down, but pardon the shakiness. I'm trying to get you a better look of the side of this place. You know, here. Try to get you a better look on the side. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I just can't do any justice with it out here. But yeah, that's it. That's the side of it. Let's see if we can get on the other side, maybe get a look over there. All right, here's the other side. There's like a little culvert type thing there, and I don't know what that could have been. If anybody knows what that could have been, please comment below, because I have no clue what that was. I don't know, maybe pumps sat in there at one point. You got some, looks like you got some rails right here that are going on that, the upper step there of it. So, all right. All right, let me see if I can get a little side view on the other side of the tower here. All right, little bonus footage. There is Stewart Grain. Remember I mentioned earlier that they own that railroad line that actually runs by that handy tower? That's it. That's the last known remnants of that handy tower. And we got here just in time. Look down the road here. They're actually loading a train right now. So that is actually really cool. So that was a good timing. So I'm glad I got here to show you that. But yeah, that's the Stewart Grain that runs the last train that goes by that tower. So kind of puts the final piece of the puzzle for the railroad handy tower. So pretty cool, but I wanted to show you that as well. Now let's get back to the tower. All right, and this is the view currently on the other side of the tower. Like I said, it is definitely grown up. So if you want to see this, I would probably definitely suggest coming out in the winter time when there is no vegetation like this around, so you'd be able to see it a lot better. So, but I want to get you the best angles I could from all sides, despite all the brush. All right, just outside of the front door here, you got some stuff. Old wood. Some old wood there. Old concrete there. Probably used to be structure at some point. It is so grown up through here. This, like I said, this is the front entrance. It is so grown up right through here. All right, here's some of the tracks running along here. These are still used. And through that brush right there, that is the actual tower that you can't see behind the brush. So let's kind of just walk down here. Got some old railroad pilings over here. Right there, old pilings right there. Let's see, we'll take a look at these tracks right here. Now these tracks look like they're in fairly good shape as well, so. There it goes that around the bend there. And then you see it joins up right there. So again, I'm no expert. I don't know exactly which track is which, but this definitely looks like it's in operation right here, or it was. It looks in good shape for railroad tracks. I don't know exactly if that's the one or not. But if I recall from seeing other pictures and other stuff online, that the one that's owned by Stewart Grain uses this one right here. So I honestly do not know, but that's it. There you go. That's the view of the tracks. All right. Well, unfortunately, ain't much left of this place. It's a pretty short and sweet tour of it, but I did want to get this place before it gets probably either falls down to nature or gets taken down. But this is the this is the handy railroad interlocking tower that's obviously no longer in service. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I believe before I close off, I believe it did close like around in the 1980s. I believe was the last time they stopped even using this. I could maybe, I mean, I think I may be wrong on that, but I think that's about right. But if anybody knows that, again, please comment below. But hope you enjoyed this little tour of this old history here of the interlocking tower. If you like these kind of abandoned things like this with railroads, be sure to check this one out here. I think that's a really good one. I'll see you there. Until then, make it a great day.